Alright, it's pretty obvious to see what I've done here. I picked two of the most overpowered characters I can think of, and I'm gonna put them up against each other to see who I think would actually win a fight to the death between the two. Both characters are actually a lot more similar than I originally thought when I was making this video. They both are most likely the strongest being on the planet in their respective universes. They both have superhuman strength. They both have superhuman speed. Although, I will admit, Omni-Man has an advantage over Kung Fury in the terms of Omni-Man can fly. He can cover a lot of distance very quickly. Kung Fury can run very fast, but we don't ever see him go nearly as fast as Omni-Man can fly. Now, Kung Fury can jump really high, and he has ways of sort of flying, but we never really observe him flying in a way that can get him around the planet or through space like Omni-Man can.
Mark.
Now, both characters do have weaknesses. We know both of them can be killed. We see it. Omni-Man almost dies against the fight with the monster in episode 7, I believe, and Kung Fury gets shot several times, and he dies kind of. He almost dies from that injury, but just like Omni-Man, he has a way of healing. Now, again, it's not really him doing the healing, and that type of injury probably would not have killed Omni-Man. So let's say Kung Fury can't fly. He has a smaller health bar than Omni-Man, but what he does have is an incredible ability to have the most insane plot convenience ever. Anything Kung Fury needs done, he will find a way to get done. This includes anything up to short-term flight to actual time travel. So the problem with this is most of these solutions are the result of one of Kung Fury's allies helping him out, whether it be Thor or Triceracop or Hacker Man. He meets a lot of people along the way, and that is kind of what enables him to do such ridiculous things. We don't really see a lot of it come as like a superpower to him. He just has an incredible, unnatural problem-solving skill, and he also has the ability to disregard most physics if it's convenient to him. It's not that he's just a normal guy who gets lucky. We know that he actually does have real superpowers. Although it seems like what he really was granted by the lightning cobra combination was just a knowledge of some form of martial arts, we know that he really can punch with an incredible force. And I genuinely think the force Kung Fury can punch with is very, very similar to anything we see Omni-Man do. We never actually see Kung Fury punch through building or brick or anything like that, whereas we do with Omni-Man. But since in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty obvious that throughout the duration of the movie, Kung Fury is doing everything with complete ease. He really does not need to try. Whereas there are points in the show where we see Omni-Man is actually fighting for his life. But again, this is against much greater threats than anything, in my opinion, that Kung Fury faces. When we do witness Kung Fury take out the entire army, it's pretty obvious that his opponents are not really the most skilled. Well, technically they are supposed to be trained soldiers. It really comes super easy to Kung Fury to defeat them. And I think Omni-Man would have actually been exactly in the same situation with this. whereas the soldiers on ground that Kung Fury faces, he probably would have been able to beat them very easily. So basically what I'm saying is, if the two were to fight, it would be a very, very even match. I think for any physical attack Omni-Man could attempt on Kung Fury would probably be able to counter it. Not only is he very strong, but he is also way more skilled in hand-to-hand combat than Omni-Man is. We know Kung Fury has an incredibly vast knowledge of pretty much all of martial arts, which was granted to him by some ancient prophecy, whereas Omni-Man is just strong because he's strong. Well, he does have an inhuman reaction time, so does Kung Fury. I really can't think of anything Omni-Man could do that doesn't involve getting some other weapon that would be something that Kung Fury would not be able to defend against. Now, as for Omni-Man defending against Kung Fury, I think that's a lot more difficult because Kung Fury is incredibly fast, and we do see Omni-Man has difficulty attacking Cecil, who can teleport. But on the contrary, Omni-Man can very easily tackle that one superhero guy that moves really fast. So the problem is, even if Omni-Man was able to get a hold of Kung Fury would probably have some other martial arts trick up his sleeve, given that he can use any of his other limbs unless he is completely restrained to deliver a blow of incredible force that would likely send Omni-Man back until he is able to recover by creating his own momentum, as they say in the show, I think.
Omni, Mr. Grayson, are you okay? You look kind of, recently on fire.
My name is Markiplier.
I'm trying not too hard to consider Kung Fury's unnatural ability to have plot convenience on his side, because that's not really fair. We can't really say this fight must take place in the Kung Fury universe, or this fight must take place in the Invincible universe. I'm trying to imagine a neutral ground, but it really is key to Kung Fury's power is that he can do pretty much anything he wants by coming up with some, completely bizarre explanation for why he's able to do it. He can get hacked back in time. He can hack your bullet wounds. That's one they use a lot. Just if they can't explain it, they just say that it was caused by hacking. So that does add a lot of power to Kung Fury. So we've looked at the pros and cons of each character. Who do I genuinely think would win in a fight to the death? Well, I think it would not look good for either of them in the end, but I think the winner would be Kung Fury. Although we don't see Kung Fury perform the same feats of strength we see Omni-Man do, it is very clear that if he wanted to, he could. Both characters are very powerful, but I think Kung Fury has an advantage when it comes to just one-on-one combat.